The council chamber of the Galactic Federation stretched across 3 kilometers of polished obsidian, its crystalline dome displaying the swirling nebulae of distant star systems. Representatives from 1,000 worlds sat in concentric circles, their varied forms creating a tapestry of evolution's endless creativity. 6 armed Vortakians with their metallic skin gleamed under artificial suns, while the ethereal Zephyrians floated in containment fields, their gaseous bodies shimmering with bioluminescent thoughts. At the center of this cosmic amphitheater stood a single human, Marcus Chen, former terraforming engineer from Earth colony Kepler 442b, looked impossibly small among the towering alien dignitaries. His simple gray jumpsuit contrasted sharply with the ornate ceremonial garments surrounding him. Yet every eye, sensor, and consciousness probe in the chamber focused solely on him. High Arbiter Zel Naga, a being whose crystalline form pulsed with ancient wisdom, spoke with a voice that resonated through quantum frequencies. Human Marcus Chen, you stand accused of violations that have resulted in the displacement of 17 star systems and the potential collapse of 3 galactic trade routes. The Confederation of Worlds demands your immediate execution. The accusation rippled through the assembly like a shockwave. Translator matrices hummed as outrage was expressed in 10,000 languages simultaneously. The human had done the unthinkable. He had refused a direct order from the Galactic Overseer Council, an act of defiance that hadn't occurred in over 2 millennia. Marcus remained perfectly still, his hands clasped behind his back. His dark eyes surveyed the assembly without fear, without apology. When the cacophony subsided, he spoke in clear, measured tones. I stand by my decision. The simple statement sent another wave of shock through the chamber. Ambassador Kreeth of the Hive Collective, her insectoid form clicking with agitation, rose from her delegation. The human destroyed the Xerion Mining Consortium's operations on 17 worlds. Trillions of credits in lost revenue, hundreds of established trade agreements rendered void, all because he refused to implement the approved terraforming protocols. The approved protocols, Marcus replied, would have rendered those worlds uninhabitable for their native species. Irrelevant, hissed the serpentine representative from Sithkar Prime. The native life forms were presentient. Their displacement was within acceptable parameters according to Galactic Standard Ethics Code 7742b. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Acceptable to whom? High Arbiter Zelnaga's crystalline form flared brighter. You forget yourself, human. These protocols have maintained galactic peace and prosperity for 4,000 years. Your species has been part of the Federation for barely 2 centuries. You do not question decisions made by civilizations that mastered interstellar travel when your ancestors were still discovering fire. And yet, Marcus said, stepping forward, here we are. A holographic display materialized above the chamber, showing the 17 contested worlds. What should have been barren, efficiently mined planets instead teemed with life. Vast forests covered the continents, while oceans sparkled with bioluminescent organisms. Cities of impossible beauty rose from the landscape, not the sterile industrial complexes the corporations had planned, but living structures that seemed to grow from the earth itself. This is what you chose over profit and efficiency, Arbiter Zelnaga said. Sentiment over logic. Emotion over progress. Marcus nodded slowly. Yes, I chose life over convenience. I chose preservation over exploitation. I chose to give 17 species a chance to evolve, to grow, to perhaps one day join us as equals, rather than being swept aside as inconveniences. The Vortakian trade minister's metallic voice rang out like struck bells. Your choice has cost the Federation more than economic losses. The Xerion Consortium has withdrawn from 12 additional systems. The Andorian Republic is reconsidering its mining agreements. Other client species are questioning established protocols. You have created chaos. I've created precedent, Marcus corrected. For the first time in millennia, someone has said that profit margins and mining quotas aren't worth more than the right of entire ecosystems to exist. The chamber erupted again. This time, however, Marcus noticed something different in the cacophony. Not all voices were raised in condemnation. Scattered throughout the assembly, smaller delegations, representatives from younger civilizations, from worlds that had themselves narrowly avoided acceptable parameter displacement, remained silent or spoke in hushed, thoughtful tones. High Arbiter Zelnaga raised the appendage for silence. Human Chen, do you understand the implications of your defiance? The Galactic Federation operates on principles of order, efficiency, and the greatest good for the greatest number. Your actions threaten the very foundation of our society. No, Marcus said quietly. My actions threaten a system that mistakes efficiency for morality and calls exploitation progress. He paused, looking around the vast chamber. You want to know what I understand? I understand that in 4,000 years of galactic civilization, no one has ever asked the simple question, just because we can destroy something, should we? The silence that followed was profound. Even the quantum translators seemed to pause as if processing concepts they had never encountered. Sentimentality, dismissed the Sithkar representative. Human emotional weakness, is it? Marcus asked. Then explain this. The holographic display shifted, showing detailed biometric data from the 17 worlds. Each planet I preserved has developed unique biochemical compounds. Kepler 442b alone has produced 17 new pharmaceutical possibilities, including what appears to be a universal cellular regenerator. The other 16 worlds show similar potential. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as trade representatives began calculating potential profits. More importantly, Marcus continued, 3 of the native species have shown signs of accelerated cognitive development since their ecosystems were stabilized. We may be looking at 3 new sentient species within the next few centuries. High Arbiter Zelnaga's form pulsed slowly. You gambled the stability of 1,000 worlds on a possibility. I gambled on hope, Marcus replied. On the chance that preservation might yield greater returns than destruction. On the belief that a galaxy rich with diverse life is stronger than one optimized for resource extraction. The chamber fell silent again. This time, however, the quality of the silence had changed. It was no longer shocked condemnation but thoughtful consideration. The vote, when it came, was closer than anyone had expected. 547 worlds voted for execution. 53 voted for clemency. Marcus Chen was banished from Federation space, forbidden from returning for 50 standard years. As he walked toward the transport that would take him back to the Outer Rim territories, Ambassador Yilneth of the Centauri Collective approached him. Her luminous form flickered with curiosity. Human, she said. My world wishes to renegotiate its mining contracts with the consortium. We would prefer terraforming protocols that preserve rather than destroy. Would you be willing to advise us? Marcus smiled, the first genuine expression of emotion he had shown in the chamber. I would be honored. By the time his transport reached the Outer Rim, 17 more worlds had requested his services. Within a year, over 100 systems had implemented what became known as the Chen protocols, terraforming and resource extraction methods that worked with existing ecosystems rather than replacing them. The revolution was quiet but inexorable. World after world began questioning the old ways, choosing preservation over profit, sustainability over short-term gain. The Xerion Consortium's stock prices plummeted while bio-research companies saw unprecedented growth. 50 years later, when Marcus Chen's banishment ended, he returned to a galaxy transformed. The Federation had evolved beyond simple resource extraction into a complex ecosystem of worlds that valued diversity, preservation, and the potential inherent in all life. 3 new species had indeed achieved sentience and applied for Federation membership. The pharmaceutical breakthroughs from preserved ecosystems had extended the average lifespan of most Federation species by 30%. Perhaps most importantly, the Federation had discovered that a galaxy built on cooperation rather than exploitation was not only more ethical, it was more profitable. High Arbiter Zelnaga, now ancient even by crystalline standards, met Marcus at the spaceport on Federation Central. You were right. Human, the Arbiter said, its form dim with age but voice still resonant with power. One choice did change the fate of 1,000 worlds. Marcus, now gray-haired but still standing straight, smiled. No, Arbiter. One choice gave 1,000 worlds the chance to change themselves, as the 2 beings walked together into the bustling spaceport, filled with representatives of dozens of species that might never have existed under the old protocols. The galaxy continued its ancient dance around them, but now it danced to a different rhythm, one that valued the music of every world, every species, every choice that chose preservation over destruction. In the end, The greatest revolution in galactic history had begun with a single human saying a single word. No.